Thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. We are very excited to have a session all about what it is like to run a 500 member CSA. So today our very special guests are Steve and Lisa Cooper from Cooper's CSA Farm. They began farming in 1993 and launched their first CSA in 2007 and have grown to over 800 customers using multiple different platforms such as Farmago and Harvie. When Harvie closed in 2024, they transitioned over to Local Line, where they now serve 500 active CSA customers and connect with over 700 subscribers. So we're really excited to have them here to talk more about their experience with CSA, transitioning platforms, kind of lessons they've learned, advice they have. So super, super excited to have them here today. Leading our discussion is Andrew from the Local Line team. Andrew was actually a Local Line user before joining our team, which is pretty cool, running a market garden just outside of London, Ontario. Before we jump into the discussion, I just wanted to go through a few kind of housekeeping things here. So this session is recorded, so if you have to jump at any point or you want to go back and listen or share with a friend, we'll send out the recording probably first thing tomorrow morning. You can find that in your inbox. We're going to do a bit of a moderated Q&A here for about 20-ish minutes, and then we're going to open up to audience Q&A. So if you have any questions for Steve and Lisa, you can pop that in the chat, which I see a few people using here, which is awesome. There's also that Q&A, which you can pop questions in as well. I'll be moderating the chat throughout the discussion. And I think without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Andrew to get us started.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nina. And thank you again, Lisa and Steve, for joining us. We really appreciate your time. I'm sure it's still a busy time on the farm with all the harvest this time of year. So thank you again for joining us. Yeah, as for getting started, just wanted to ask you guys a couple introductory type questions. First thing that comes to mind is could you tell us a little bit of the history of Cooper's CSA Farm, how it began, what the initial vision was, and how it's kind of evolved over time?
Well, we've been farming 30 years, so how much time you got?
An hour.
It's changed a lot over the years.
Yeah, it's been a journey. I think I was thinking about this because for the sake of time. So I'm a sixth generation farmer and started farming right out of college. Met Lisa, who is not of a farm background. We actually met working at IBM together. I was forced to leave the farm, which is really a good idea to work elsewhere first before coming into farming with my parents, buying a farm, all the things. First of all, our location, we're just outside of Toronto in Ontario, the thriving metropolis of Zephyr, which if you know Ontario well, is the North Greater Toronto area near Uxbridge is where we are. And our family has been farming in the general area for over 200 years, actually, long time. So we found that out recently, no pressure, right? To keep going. So long and short of it, out of college, bought a farm. We started farming. I started farming with my parents. Lisa worked off the farm. We were commodity style farm, beef cattle, grain crops, about 1,000 acres, 200 head of cattle kind of thing. That wasn't working, but in my family's culture was a side gig. There was always some form of a side gig. And in our case, it was my parents planting sweet corn and sending us as kids to the road to sell sweet corn. And the farm, fortunately, was on a busy road. And that kind of became the thing for us. And it eventually was like the best high school job. I had more money than most in high school because of it. We learned how to deal with customers and deal with the public and providing fresh produce at a very young age. But that side gig kind of became, we kept it going once we got married and started farming, and the rest of the farming was not cool. It was really tough being a commodity farmer in the 90s. And it was a side gig kind of keeping us afloat. And finally, we had to make a decision. It's like, we're going to evolve this side gig and be more than just a sweet corn stand at the side of the road. And we were early adopters of plastic mulch and drip irrigation because of the sweet corn, but then that allowed us to start the market garden side of things where we just plethora of crops. Then we started looking for more markets for those crops. We got in early on the farmers market movement in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. Both of us played roles in starting farmers markets in our communities. And that was great. And we got to a point in the mid 2000s of like 9 farmers markets a week we were going to, plus a roadside stand. Our farm's on a very quiet concession, our home farm. So there's not a lot of traffic there. So we really didn't, I think we started with like the desk and the box, like just put some money in the box or leave us an IOU or whatever. right?
Self-serve, yep.
But running around, so we're developing the market garden. There was a livestock side to what we were doing on the other side of the farm as well. But we got, we were raising, our kids were young then, we were raising kids, and this is where the goals of the farm started to come in. And the first thing was we wanted Lisa to be on the farm full time so we could both farm full time and be all in farming. So that was goal number one. Goal number two, and this is where CSA came in, and then eventually our side gig that we developed. But the CSA part is because we just got tired of going to all these farmers markets every week, going to 9 of them. I tried some wholesale sales, cut my teeth. I probably have scars on my neck still from those wholesale experiences. It wasn't a fun experience for me. I did not enjoy that side of the business. So we went direct, and I remember, like I said, brought up selling direct to public. So we went back to direct to public. 2007, 2006, we started some agri-entertainment, a 10-acre corn maze and some U-pick pumpkins.
The reason behind that was because we wanted people to come to the farm. We were so tired of going away. We wanted people to come here to see us.
And to balance it out, anyone that does farmers markets knows it's very weekend intense, and it's a lot. Like, you're gypsying around. It's a lot. Good, but a lot. So the entertainment side started, the agri-entertainment. I'm literally doing tours because all 11 people came that first season. But like 2 of them would get on the wagon and would give them a tour, and I showed them how to pick a ripe watermelon, and somebody jumps up and says, I want to be a part of this. And the one light bulb in my life went off, and I've heard of that. That's called CSA, a membership. And I'm like, we could do this. We have the market garden. So Lisa's a great marketer. And back then she was on the front end of getting a large email list at farmers markets and offering discounts for return customers, carrying a cart around. So we already had 1,000-person email list back in the mid-2000s. That was before email clamped down on spam emails too, right? That's been a wave up and down of how that goes. So we very quickly just sent a note out to that 1,000, say, hey, who would like to try this CSA idea? And we got 50 right away, and away we went that first season. And I think we used wooden bushel baskets that first year and did 20 weeks. And it was 2007, and it was one of the worst droughts that we'd ever had. I think I was putting decoration gourds in that bed. Yeah, close. It was a struggle, but most of them came back, and then that 50 became 300, and then it just kind of took off. Our timing was great. That the 100-mile diet book had come out. We went to an author signing, remember? We didn't even have, I think we signed up like 15 or 20 members just at one event back then. So it was very, very new, very upfront for people. So timing's part of it. We kind of got lucky on the timing.
Yeah.
It evolved out, and this is where systems in the background come in. We were running it on Outlook and QuickBooks, I think, and handwritten notes and Garmin GPSs. But it was working, but it was a lot on the back end. One thing that made us different, we're not organic. We backhandedly kind of came into, what's sustainable? Like, I was brought up being, you're going to plant your garden, you plow down some clover, you put a coat of manure on the fall, maybe top it with some finished compost in the spring and plant your garden. Well, to a lot of people that is organic, but so that's kind of how we always did vegetables. And that's the message. That's just how we do it. We need the livestock to get us going for the vegetables. Anyways. We needed help on the back end because it was becoming a lot, and we home delivered right from the get-go. We just took it upon ourselves. We didn't like the idea of drop points because that's kind of like a farmer's market, which we were trying to avoid. And it just seemed to make sense to have one car go to 50 homes as opposed to 50 cars going to one spot. So way back in 2007, we started home delivery and figuring that out as well, and developed that. And so, yeah, too much work on the back end, not enough time farming. Farmigo came into play. That worked for a good number of years. But I knew the gentleman that ran Harvie, Small Farm Central, Simon. Everybody knows everybody in this business eventually. We all cross paths, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And this idea of customers having the ability to choose what goes in their box, but also because people are people, maybe if they can pre-fill out some preferences ahead of time, and an algorithm based on our inventory fills a box for them that's kind of what we want. That whole idea was the genesis of Harvie, and that's what really struck me as maybe being something that would work really, really well. By this point, we had incorporated beef, pork, chicken, eggs. We were starting to use a little bit of outside vendors of some stuff we don't do. We already We had added a commercial kitchen at this point, so we have that on the farm. And in 2017, right around the time we started Harvie, we also started into maple syrup production here on the farm too, where we now tap 1,100 trees.
Because we're never busy enough.
And
Yeah,
we hate
sounds
in
like it.
February, March, and April, right? So,
Yeah.
but that's just utilizing the farm. We have for us here in Central Ontario, maple. There's a giant maple tree growing in the back of my house. They grow everywhere. It grows quite easy. So we had the asset, and we just wanted to use the asset, maple syrup.
Yeah.
Our background, like I said, it was livestock originally. So going into livestock is part of it. So that's sort of how we got to Harvie. And Harvie, the thing is, when we got to Harvie, it wasn't. I like Farm Ego. It was completely built out. We walked in, they were the experts, way you go. And that's what I didn't want to be into, this growing, building, back and forth. And Harvie was kind of that, because when we signed up, it's like, oh, we don't have anything prepared for someone that's trying to sell meat. I'm like, ooh, you better get busy. They built it, and they built it up, and it worked. And Harvie, I always said, is it's expensive. Anyone that knew Harvie, it's very expensive, very, very expensive. So we tried to utilize it to the nth degree. Every function, every feature, anything they brought out, we want, and it was effective. And to their credit, and we went through the pandemic, and anybody that did this business through the pandemic, and remember, we were already set up for home delivery and online presence with Harvie going well and built in. And just like every farm business blew up, and we had to make a decision. Are we going to grab as much business as we can, or are we going to hunker down? And well, we're us. So we grabbed as much business as we can and
Worked our guts out
for 2 years and expanded a lot. And so now, but we knew even at the peak when this was like going crazy, it's like, this is not going to be the forever thing. It's going to back off. So we were kind of preparing for it. At the same time, Harvie and the company behind it also got into the distribution business, and that's where the Harvie ended. They went toward their own distribution company, just with a place out of Pittsburgh and that greater area around that. And eventually, we kind of saw writing on the wall.
Yeah, there's customer service kind of
was starting to taper off. They were looking after. I think they were looking at. We were a good sized customer. Like, we had enough scale that we were. We pay them enough money, we pique their interest, they'd look after us, but we knew it was kind of coming. Very, very expensive. And as business starts to taper off, you start looking at where can you save a few dollars. And we started to realize that this preferences, pre-done box, which we thought would be the ultimate, CSA would take off with it. Well, everybody's buying changed through the pandemic, and everybody started buying online. And that whole thing all of a sudden didn't become as important. And now what became important is maybe everybody wants to start with an empty box and be more like our typical large scale, like the Amazons, Walmart, the
grocery store style.
There's a look and a feel to purchasing that way that Harvie, I don't want to say it was clunky, but it was not that. Like, we would get comments from everybody's got a bank of customers. There's always that customer that's an expert at something, and they'll say, oh, I'm an expert in the field of online sales, and your system's pretty clunky. And I'm like, thanks for that.
Yeah.
It was pretty good on the back end, though, for us. It's saving us a pile of work, right? We knew that it was clunky. We shop online. We knew. So when we were told it was in, we had no choice. We had to find somebody else. So we started the process pretty early, good 6-8 months out before they were going to close. And we started trialing all across North America, different platforms. And you guys were on the list. And Andrew, we reached out to you right away. As well. We had tried 3 or 4 others. Every one of them offers a trial. And again, like I said, we all know each other, and there was former Harvie employees at another one, and there was other employees at another. We all had connections. And Andrew, you did a great presentation to us right off the bat, and you had a good local feel. And this was the first time doing the online where we could have something that felt really close to home, which would hit us pretty good. We had never had that. We were always dealing with an American company, which was fine, but it just lacked that. You really don't know what the GTA is like. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, the personal touch, right?
You'll be fine.
Yeah. Postal codes and the difference between the US systems and Canadian systems and the Canadian dollar, US, all the things, right? So, but I think what we liked the best when we made the choice to go with you guys is we were already heading towards. So let me explain what we are right now. Even in Harvie, we were running weekly. So we basically run 46 weeks a year. For a long time, we've been year round, but an intensive summer of being weekly and then bi-weekly through the winter. And just recently, almost 2 years ago, we switched. No, we're going to stay weekly, but go 46 weeks, take a sabbatical from Christmas till the end of January. and come back February, and away we go again. So that's sort of what we came, and we knew that coming to Local Line, that's what we were looking for. So then it became, look at, we're big and we're not giant, but we're big enough where we need, there's Lisa, there's myself, and 2 other people that are going to be on the platform, using the platform. And anybody knows that a back end change like that, and I always say the back end is the computer side, is so hard. Like, it is really hard. It's hard on all of us. So it was like, okay, who can make the impression that's going to make it the easiest, and at least make the impression? They may not come through with it. Everybody promises everything, right? Ander's a hell of a salesman. He did a great job. But
I like to think we came through, Steve.
honestly, and I'll give credit to Harvie through the close down, that they provided us with all the data we need to make it available. The crew at Local Line was able to take all the data and move it all over and set us up, and Local Line did a pile of work to get us pretty close, that it wasn't too onerous on our part. Like, it was very manageable, and it really allowed us to focus on the look, because your customer impression, basically, we're all direct to consumer online. We like to say CSA, we like to say those words, but this is essentially what we are now. So we want to make sure that look and the feel and our brand and our colors, so we could spend time making sure the pictures were good and the look was right and the categories lined up. Whereas you guys handled the technical stuff, like setting up our delivery zones across Toronto and all the areas around Toronto, which would have been incredibly onerous on us. You guys handled that, and we were really appreciative of that. Got going, fired up with Local Line, I guess it was right around the 1st of February, and away we went, and ups and downs and tweaks, and that first time you click open that store, you're panicked. But that's always the way, and it's been good. Customer service is good. It's been everything we want. From our end, being at Harvie before, Harvie really looked after the back end quite well. Like, it was, Lisa and I are not spreadsheet people, and to make Local Line work to its fullest for us, we had to become a little more spreadsheet-ish people. We had to get better with spreadsheets, which helped, and we got onto it. It was just a learning curve for us.
Yeah.
It helped. The support on your end is excellent. We have no problem. There's always an immediate callback, and if there is a problem, we figure it out. And I mean, even when we came over, there was some things not built out that we were looking for, and you guys built it out. So I really couldn't ask for any more than that, and that's all you're really looking for. That you seem to want the business as well. And then the great feedback we got immediately from customers is that the customers were so happy that it was smooth. It was more like a typical online buying experience for them. And anybody that's been in this a while knows they're great. Everybody's a great customer. Any customer comes on is great. But if you're their first online buying experience and your system's a little bit clunky, oh boy. And that was a Harvie thing, where the Harvie online buying experience was their first online buying experience. And it's like, oh boy, it was tricky. If they're seasoned online buyers, people figure it out. With the Local Line, it was very smooth, very straightforward. It's worked very well that way. So we're quite pleased with
We've
it.
had a number of customers who've been with us literally almost since we started, and their immediate reactions were, this is the best by far buying experience that we've had with you guys to date. So that makes me feel good that we're in the right, we're in the right place for our customers, which is important.
That's great. That's great to hear, you guys. I appreciate that. And that's something
that's what I want to put to other farmers, I think, too, because you got to think, we're all focused on the back end. It's like, I got to get back outside. I need something that's going to work seamlessly behind the scenes, do all the things, and leave just the direct answering emails to us and what. But there's also, remember, as we move into this online buying all the time, like, that's what we talk about. We have customers we never see. It's the oddest thing. Like, our delivery drivers have a little bit of context. So it's like that impression. I mean, they're part of your brand. They're part of the experience. And that's where that seamlessness, that really smooth, makes a heck of an impression. I mean, look at people that want to buy direct from farm will stick with you. Like, they will go through the clunkiness of a system, and we're all farmers. We're all odd. I don't relish the job that you guys have at Local Line. My goodness, handling whatever number of hundreds or thousands of farmers, and each farmer 1,000 ways to farm. I couldn't do it. The farmers drive me crazy at times. So I get it. So, and you guys balance that and meet the needs of each individual farmer well, but I thought it did a very good job of making sure that the customer experience was very good, and that helps us immensely.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's something I wanted to ask you guys. Something I've noticed in speaking to hundreds, if not thousands of farms. people doing CSAs is that there's almost as many CSA models as there are farms.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm really curious how you guys have kind of adapted. I know Harvie had like this algorithm-based system. What is the model today that you guys operate in local line? My understanding is that it's more of like a credit-based buy down system, but how would you describe the model on local line that you guys are using today?
It's basically, you fill your own cart, you choose your own adventure. You just find for us and what we see out there as a buying experience, that's probably the most important thing, that people have full control over what they get. But it's funny that I say that, because 2 weeks ago we started the subscription back up again through local line.
Right.
So because we had a number of people who reached out and said, I just want to press a button that says yes, and it comes. So we tried it, and we probably have 3 people that are on it, but hey, that's 3 people who weren't on it before, and that's great, and that's what counts.
We had a bunch of people sign up for it, and then the first week it comes up, they cancel the box and go back to filling their cart from zero. So, I mean, I think we've all heard it. People say one thing and do another, and that is absolutely true. So, yeah, I think the key part is complete flexibility on the customer side through payment. So if people just want to go week to week, so let's back it up a step. We're 500 active customers so far this year. And what that means is they've bought at least once this year. And when I dug into it, 85% have bought more than twice a month. So I think that's how we look at it. We're not telling people you have to take a box a week or every other week. We had to make it flexible. If you want to come in every week for 4 weeks and then take 2 months off and then come back, whatever, we're here. So that flexibility part, the payment thing, it's interesting. There's still a group of people who will put a bulk of money down. One of the attractions of CSA was like that prepaid season up front to get stuff in the ground and help you that way. So that's where the credit buy down, we offer that. It's no different when I buy a bunch of input supplies for the farm. If I pay ahead, I get a 5% kickback usually. So we kind of say, hey, if you're going to put $1,000 or $2,000 in credits on your account, we'll give you 5% credit on top of those credits as well. And we get a good number of people of uptake on that.
Yep.
And it's on their schedule. Like if they only have $500 at the time, they put 500 up, and they can do whatever they want. Or if they just want to run week to week, it's fine.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what it became. So rolling back into a subscription was interesting. One thing we started offering, and that's the box. So I went back and we called it the old school CSA box, where with one click, you can just, I pre-fill a box. It's within the functionality of local line. One click, you can see all the items that are in that box that week. It's Farmer Steve's old school box, just like we did 20 years ago. One click and you can be done. And we do offer that, and there is uptake on that. But what we always find is, they'll do the $45 box, but then there's some meat added, some eggs that like people will shop more. One of our goals coming from Harvie to local line, and we saw it through the pandemic where we got, average value of buys, like how much each customer buys, really crept up for a while there. It's like, okay, what can we do to get, maybe we don't need all brand new customers all the time. What can we do to get to a $60 average buy to a $100 average buy, right? Because I've heard some benchmarks from, and remember, we're on the meat side too. It's kind of equal between market garden meat and then a little bit from the bakery and stuff. It's like, what can we get to get that average buy up? And one thing we were able to accomplish through local line, and I think local line was a part of it, and just in how we arrange ourselves, we got ourselves just over an average buy of $100 per order. And that's what one thing we were looking for. I don't mind if someone only buys once a month if they buy a really big order, right?
Yeah.
We threw in, I think what helped doing that, everyone loves free delivery. We're not Amazon. We can't do free delivery. we don't sell data and accumulate data to sell, right? Like it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, if you buy $200, rather than just giving a discount on that, we said free delivery. And I think that really helped people see that. And they just like, or they'll be at like 175. It's like, okay, I'll get another $25 of stuff to get us up to that. So there is a mentality, and we've been told this through other industries, when you put people in front of a screen and buying, as opposed to directly in front of a person, the person in front of the screen will always outbuy by about 15 to 20%. Like there's an automatic uptick of about 20%. They'll spend that much more when they don't have to face someone directly. So I thought that was very interesting. And our customers are kind of telling us that. It's like, yeah, I can't get away for you guys for less than like $100 now, where it used to be less.
That's great. No, it's great to use the fee structure in fulfillment in local line to incentivize those larger purchases. I think that's a really great strategy, one that I used to use myself. Kind of on that topic of, encouraging sales, using tools and technology to do that. Can you guys talk about kind of like marketing and any strategies or approaches that you found really effective for keeping people engaged? I know one of the challenges with like more the a la carte model where people aren't forced into a subscription is just keeping them engaged and keeping those purchases happening. So maybe Lisa, like it sounds like you are really great on the marketing side of things. And I read the website. I saw you guys do things like weekly features and sales. You'll do like coupon codes and emails. So can you speak to any of those strategies that you guys use to kind of keep people engaged in buying?
Yeah, for sure. We try to have weekly features where we do give a little bit of a discount in price on certain things that we have excess of, or a specialty that's coming out of the kitchen. We try to give a little bit of a new item each week and put a little bit of a discount on it and make it a specialty or a feature. We have a young gal who works for us who is our daughter-in-law, and she is really great at reading, customers' wants and needs in regards to online stuff, whereas we're a little bit further out of kind of understanding that. And so she comes up, I totally admit, she comes up with so many great ideas for us to implement. And she is the one who's on the back end who does those emails every single week. I am the one who takes all the emails that come in from those emails, and I'm the one who directly answers from the farm.
Right.
Marketing wise, we're always trying to push ourselves at farmers markets, our website, social media. But again, Kelsey's in charge of the social media. That's her jam. She's just so good at that, and has such a creative talent to be able to handle that, which is really nice. I do a lot of I think our customer service is a really big part of our marketing, and word of mouth, I think, is our biggest fan. That's what gets us the most people. I get so many emails in my inbox saying, "Oh, Susan, who's been on your program for X amount of years, gave me your name," and starts asking questions or whatever. And so it just works out that way, and it's really good for us in that regard.
So
go ahead, Steve.
On the marketing side, so what goes out directly from the farm in contacts? We don't want to email the crap out of people, because that's annoying.
Our weekly emails for the box to tell people that the farm store is open, that's our biggest reach right there. But then we've also realized, of course, for whatever reason, that email feels a little bit pushed or
marketing.
Robot-y. And then just out of a whim, Steve decided to send an email one Saturday morning just to say, "Hey, I'm, picking strawberries," or doing whatever the heck he was doing. Sent out, a little couple sentence email and says, hope to see you guys soon. And literally the buy went up like 20% that week. And so now every single Saturday, he just picks a topic, talks about it, doesn't say go buy, doesn't say we got this special, doesn't say anything. He just talks about something on the farm, sends a real quick email that you could read in a matter of 5 minutes. And every single week, that's when we can see it, because we can see the timeline through Local Line as when people are purchasing that, a whole bunch of sales orders go right in right then, which is really fun.
So I guess that's the message. We do have a very polished, Kelsey does a great job. She uses Canva and then the integration flow desk into Local Line, and it's all set. And of course she's young, so she's using some chat GPT and all the things, right? Like, and that's where we're going with a lot of this. Great. But there is, it is an element of it too polished. So I just do a typed email from me. And I think I guess the message is, you got to get an email list of customers. That's the first thing. You got to have that. Yeah. But what you'll find as farmers, our open rate, when you start looking at open rates of emails, we're considerably higher than any other industry. Like you can get up into the 60%, even 70% open rates, which is incredible. A lot of companies will say 10 to 20, before they hit the delete button. There's an absolute interest in what we do. They want to know what we do and how we're doing. It's just that extra step. I had to make a bit of time Saturday to get out of my farming mode and sit down and send it. And sometimes like one of the notes was just about, hey, 3 of the 4 of us that make all the decisions here play volleyball. And that's what we do on the oddities, the weird stuff, just that. And so you have to be able to, you do the socials, you do your website, you have that all running well, you use all the integrations, but you still have to try and make it that personal touch.
Very important. That's why I answer all the emails that come in from any of our customers. I make sure that I'm their contact, and I am answering them to the best of my ability right then and there, and not saying, okay, I have to check with, or I have to go to. So, and that's important as well, I think.
Yeah, all emails answered within the same day. That's a big ask. And Lisa, I don't know, Lisa decides to do something else, whether we can keep that up, but we'll certainly try. It makes a difference because we'll get comments like, oh my goodness, I didn't expect a response, right? Like, you know, email Amazon, how's that go, right? Email Costco, how do you make out, right? You don't. They do everything in their power not to hear from you. So it's got to be the opposite of that. And I guess that's the message too, is like, remember, when you go to direct marketing, essentially what we are, we're in the people business first, right? We're not in growing crops. We're not in raising cattle. We're not chickens and maple syrup and all. We're in the people business first, because without the people, I don't have a sale. Without a sale, there's no action, right? So you have to kind of get into that mindset. You're in the people business first.
I think that's a really great point, you guys. Lisa, I know you mentioned just like greeting people with a smile as well at markets. I can speak to that personally. Like, you know, our produce was always great at markets. We had a nice stand, but we always made a point of being like really receptive and happy to see people. And I think that always contributed to us having a slightly longer line at our booth. So yeah, I think there's just like a baseline of customer service that some people maybe overlook or don't consider, and how important that is, whether it's responding to an email or just being happy to see your customers. So really glad you guys touched on that. Super important. I'm going to wrap up my questions, you guys, with one more thing. You know, something I've noticed throughout the conversation is it seems like you guys have really been able to identify opportunities and like act on them really successfully. It's just like, you know, you started by identifying this direct sales outlet with the sweet corn, and then evolved into the CSA from there, and identified opportunities with marketing and expanded on those. So just curious, in your words, you guys, any advice or themes you have that have maybe contributed to your success over 30 years of farming?
Don't give up, have a good team.
I think we had to figure out our strengths. Like once we knew our real strengths, like my real strength, Lisa's real strengths, and now daughter-in-law Kelsey and our son Trenton are involved in the farm as well. Knowing everybody's strengths and playing to your strengths. And then if you identify an area you're not strong with, your next staff hire should be someone that can fill the gap. I think that's a big part. If you're market gardening, and that's generally the basis of a lot of CSAs, you've got a lot of irons in the fire. You have incredible diversity already. And just from what we're saying, and we know we're an oddity, I don't expect anyone to go out and run beef cattle, pasture poultry, pigs, maple syrup, agri entertainment, farmers markets, a CSA. We have a lot of irons in the fire, and that's partially a little bit of my personality, where I like a lot of things on the go, but I also heard the term recently, death by diversity, right? Diversity can keep you going, but can kill you too. So the next expansion, the next thing is we're going to be very cognizant. And as we are, you know, we're at the second half, well into our second half of our careers, we're very fortunate. We've been able to integrate our kids and daughter-in-law into the farm. That's also one of the farm goals, is this has got to ideally move into the next generation seamlessly. So we're really super focused on succession, and that's a whole other ball of wax across agriculture that we've been really focused on even before we had kids. We've just seen too many farms fall apart completely because of bad succession. So trying to avoid that is another thing. But playing to your strengths, focus. I mean, when I say play to your strengths, we have all these iron in the fire, but what's the focus? We do no wholesale. We left that part out. Said we're going to be focused on dealing direct. We deal direct. So those sorts of things. We're in this market garden, small livestock. We don't have the automation tools. We don't have all the cool gadgets that the big farms have, that we can't just go drop $100,000 into some GPS systems so it auto steers and does all. So behind the scenes, we better be really good with our website and our socials and maybe local line or whatever platform you're going to use. This all has to, you got to be ahead of the curve on that kind of stuff. Being ahead of the curve on succession, your business planning, like you better make sure your books are solid. You've got a mission, a vision, all those business planning things. Be ahead of the game on those things, because we've already got a lot working against us. We can't just use technology to bail out some production practices, but maybe we can be organized behind the scenes to make us very, very effective. And I guess that's a word I've been using a lot. Let's be really effective. And the other point, I think, don't break your back. We were talking about this before we went on the air. Too many young farmers, been in the business 10 years, break their backs and walking around with canes at 40 years old and going for back surgeries. Yeah, no, you got to figure that one out.
Yeah. Learn your strengths. Don't be so, I can't think of the word right now off the top of my head, but don't be so full of yourself that you're not willing to see where you're lacking and what you
Mm,
need to bring into the farm. We both know and tell each other often what our strengths and weaknesses are. So it's, you know, having somebody who can really focus in on the spreadsheets or doing the behind the scenes on computer work, you know, that's what we needed, and we got somebody in there to do that. There's no point in wasting your time and doing things you just can't do or not good at. Get somebody in to do it for you.
Yeah, we're not
yeah,
commercial kitchen cooking.
No, we've
sure.
got great gals out there cooking up some cookies and such on every
Mhm.
single day in there for us. So, and they do a fantastic job, and I'm not in there because I'm not
Yeah.
a baker.
And when we have the right people in there, it produces a ton. And we get the wrong people in there, it doesn't produce much. And we just back it off and say, okay, we'll dial this down till we find the right person. And that's just,
Yeah.
that's the business stuff, right? And that's what happens in the evolution. You got to become a business manager too. You got to
Mhm.
back and be that CEO once in a while.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. That makes sense, you guys. Thank you for sharing. That wraps up my questions. I'm going to hand it over to Nina now. I think we've got a couple in the audience Q&A. So thanks again, you guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we have a few great questions from the audience. The first question here is from Jolene. Doing it this way, as in referring to the model that you guys run, so kind of the retail model where people can fill their own boxes. How do you determine how much of everything you grow without ending up short or intensely overrunning on something?
Oh,
Yeah, that's always the problem. And we found this year we grew a lot of extra stuff that we didn't need to. And unfortunately it's a little bit of learning as you go. And that's why we still do one farmer's market. And the reason why is so that we have a spot to put our extra produce to, that so it's, you know, the extra doesn't get wasted. But this year, unfortunately, there was a lot of extra.
Yeah, that's comes into my end. And what was my number one complaint on the highly perishable stuff? It's like, oh my gosh, I've got so many strawberries to pick right now, and I got no home for them. Like, where are they going to go without? And I remember I said we don't wholesale because I know how wholesale works. By the time I cover the packaging and hit the wholesaler and pay the fee,
Yeah.
I'm losing money on them. So that secondary outlet, in our future plans, we've dialed back farmers markets a lot, trying to free up some time on weekends for lifestyle stuff. But we do have one of our farms is on a busy road, and there's plans for another on-farm store. And I think we've got some people lined up that are coming out of their first career into their second career, not quite retired, that we think we find the, remember said, find the right person to manage. We're looking for more of that secondary outlet to help with that. Commercial kitchen helps with that. Jolene, I mean, the honest thing is we have livestock. And I mean, I really hate picking wheelbarrow fulls of green peppers that go to pigs, but
If it is,
it is.
yes.
And then we
Yeah.
feed it to the livestock. We try to give as much away or glean. We've done all that stuff too. But when the moment hits and it's got to go, yeah, that's why we have livestock too. We'll put it through the livestock if we have to.
So the answer is we don't. We just
That's the hardest part.
try.
That is the absolute, what Jolene just pointed out, is one of the absolute hardest things of the extreme fresh produce side, the very perishable stuff. Hey, garlic, sweet potato, potatoes, the stuff that hangs around for a bit. We've got a walk-in freezer full of beef. It can sit there a month, no problem. But man, you get into the, whether you're doing cut lettuces or strawberries or fruits, and that stuff's done in a few days, that's pressure. But that's also the stuff that people really like.
Yeah.
So there's the push and pull.
For sure, for sure. Well, thank you for your answer there. That let us know, Jolene, if you have any follow-up on that. Next question here from Avery. You mentioned you started with home delivery. Do you still do all delivery, or do you have pickup locations? Do your customers come to the farm?
So we have all three. We do some pickup locations, being the farmers market and the farm. We do a couple of drop points. We work with a local brewery. We also have a couple of members who actually host drop points at their home. So we're not manning those. We just drop the items and the customers know to go to this location and get it. So we do home delivery, pick up at the farm, some drop points, and farmers markets.
90% is home delivery to the door.
Right now, yeah.
That's we're charging $10,
$10, $9,
$9 to 10, any size order.
HST.
It's not by weight. It's just whatever your order is, but we do have a minimum order.
Yeah.
And that's most of it. What we can say, the younger crowd expect home delivery. I mean, Uber's a thing, right? I had a lettuce guy deliver the lettuce through Uber. Like, it was unbelievable. The Uber driver shows up and opens his trunk and it's full of lettuce for me. Like, unbelievable. But that's an expectation. Some people like to come to the farm, and I mean, that's another part of it, that we are open for our members and we have our open hours and they can see what's going on the farm. So that's an important part, I think, as well, for the authenticity part. But yeah, it's 90% home delivery. And again, those integrations within your systems are super important because we use our routing software and it needs to integrate with your platform. And in our case, we ended up with Routific. Yeah, Routific. You can tell I don't use it a lot, but it integrates nicely with what we're doing and the drivers like it and the customers like it. So again, it's that working for us customer experience thing. So yeah.
For sure. I have actually two questions that are both regarding delivery, so I'm going to kind of clump them into one question. The first question is, what do you guys use for your packaging to ensure that the delivery goes well? So Joel here is choosing between like plastic boxes or cardboard, would like to go with cardboard, but just curious on your experience.
Don't use cardboard.
Not straight cardboard.
No, we use a waxed cardboard. We actually were talked into by our box provider in trying something new. So we tried 10,000 new box package, and they're awful. They were awful. It was such a waste of money. It was very heartbreaking. We use a waxed box, and they are great because if something's a little bit wet, it's not going to ruin it. The dampness of being in a cooler doesn't start they get all soft in a cooler. So the wax box, I would 100% totally recommend that. I know a couple other CSAs who use like Rubbermaid containers. I don't know how that works for them, but they seem really happy about it. But my concern of that would be that it would start getting really sweaty in there. But again, if that's what you choose, that's what you choose. But for us, wax box all the way.
Yeah, the return rate, we give a branded box,
Yeah.
and right on it says, please return to. We actually ended up, the last time I did track it, we were getting about 8 to 9 uses out of one box. So we were getting them,
Wow.
the customers will. I mean, sometimes you'll show up at a place and there'll be 14 boxes collapsed for you. They've been hoarding them for a while, but you do get them back eventually. I mean, we have played that game. It's like, is there any boxes anywhere? Like we're right down to the nub and we're waiting on the next bunch to come in. On the freezer side too, because we do a frozen product, we have a large walk-in freezer. The young lady, Gabby, who packs all the stuff, she works in there. She suits right up, like Milwaukee heated clothes wear. She works at -18, packs them all in there. They sit overnight into a freezer bag, from a freezer bag into our vans. And we have the big, large, like Coleman fishing coolers. 2 of them usually hold everything. And it seems to be we can get it to people's door and it's still frozen when it gets there and it stays frozen
Like
for a while.
rock solid.
Rock solid. So that's never been an issue on that side. It is 2 different picks in your delivery driver needs to be able to pick the box and then read the sheet and go get the frozen order. It's not all in the same thing. And we're not shipping like a nationwide. We're not using a drop shipper or like getting into the dry ice game. We've had talk about that with the meat and expanding that way, but that's another ball game altogether. We're in the Greater Toronto area. We're within 40 minutes of a whole whack of like almost 5 to 6 million people. So we can, there's enough crowd around us that we can stick with that. And that seems to work for us. A high return rate on the wax and on the freezer
bags, which are branded and ask them to be returned as well.
And it seems to work for us. Everybody does it a little different, but that's what we're doing. And the vehicle we're literally using Caravan minivan. We have a horde of Dodge Caravan minivans. That seems to be the easiest to get drivers in and to duck around in towns and cities and have cargo space. So that's what seems to work.
For sure. No, that's awesome. A very quick follow-up question from Joel is, where do you source your wax boxes here in Canada, and do you get them printed at the same place?
Yes. Yeah. Wellington Paper Products is where we get them. We've also got them at another place out of Barrie, which I can't think of the name of it right now, but that was a couple of productions ago.
Got it.
So yeah, Wellington, I just see it pop up here from Andrew.
Awesome.
Yep. They're great. Used to get their stuff.
Perfect.
Probably the main supplier for everybody province-wide.
Okay.
Here, I mean, farms that are sending 5 tractor trailer loads a day of wax cartons of cauliflower are using Wellington products. So
don't let them talk you into paper.
Yeah.
You heard it here, Joel. Question from Carter. And you kind of touched on this with the frozen side, but maybe you could talk a bit about the process of packing your orders. How does that work? How many people and hours do you estimate for packing orders? And do you notice big swings in your order volumes? That was a very loaded question, but maybe talking on order packing.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Yeah, the swings, you know what? The swings are up and down. Some weeks far more, some weeks far less. Now we're our person who's packing our meats is about 3 hours a day, and she does it's about 3 hours to do the packing of all the routes. She spends 2 days, so 6 hours to do all the packing for everything for all week long. But she's in there a little longer because she also organizes for the next week and that type of
And
thing.
then there's probably 2 hours inventorying for the next week on Friday as well.
Yeah. But we probably are doing another 4 hours prior to that of printing pick sheets and printing stickers. And so basically you get a sticker and you put what's on that sticker in that bag. That's literally what it is. But we also have sheets, so we know, okay, we're going to need 10 ribeye steaks and 10 half chickens, or for the pick sheets. So we have all that. So that's probably another 4 hours for that. But that 4 hours is also including our vegetables. So the pre-work for our vegetables. So it's the pre-work for the meat and vegetables, which is together. It doesn't split up until we actually go to pack the stuff, where I'm actually in charge of the pack for the vegetables, and then we've got the gal who's in charge of packing the meats.
And then the vegetable pack, you handle that now direct. We used to have a pack manager handling we call it the dry good pack. That's our vegetables, the dry goods, everything would go in the cardboard wax box. As every business, you go through changes, and Lisa took back over the pack, and she runs it right now.
Yeah, I just it's not enough time to bring in another person, and I like to be in control of that. Because there's just too many mistakes. I don't like mistakes. I don't like when people email me and tell me they didn't get their head of lettuce. It bugs me. So I don't allow it to happen.
We're very focused. We're not so packing boxes, and every sticker is different. And I loaded some this morning into the van, and one lady had 5 boxes worth of stuff, and then the next person has barely half a box full of stuff, and that's the variation of depending on what they buy.
No, thanks for that.
That's the hours. And depending, it could be a little bit more, a little bit less. The actual pack time for myself and my packers for the vegetables is probably for the whole week, probably another so 3, 6, 9, 12, 21, just shy of 30 man hours.
Wow.
Well, that could be done much faster. Let me premise that too. We have a soft spot for working with handicapped folks and folks of disadvantage, and that's Lisa's pack crew. It's her and they're great. And I mean, like, one heavily autistic,
and they're dedicated, but one is very, very autistic and is a little bit longer than probably what a person who wasn't had their affliction be. But you know what? To me, it doesn't matter, because he's so dedicated and he's such a great guy, and I don't care that it might take him a little bit longer.
We go the extra mile to give those folks a chance. And sure, if we were dead on being efficient to the dime and being better, well, yeah, we would look a different direction. But we think there's also an element of we got to support our community, and these folks need a job, right?
Yeah.
And just how it brings them up in the confidence they get, because they don't get opportunities. So
100%. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Question here I think this is actually a really good question as well, from Ray. What are your suggestions on becoming and being a good manager?
Wow.
Well, you can't use a shock prod.
Leave your pride at the door.
Yeah.
Try to really see all angles, and be very cognizant of your words, because words hurt. And it's very hard to learn that now at our age, when we were brought up in a very different environment, different climate, about, you can call somebody an idiot and not get,
that's just me. She calls me an idiot.
Yeah,
I'm okay.
No, but when I was young and worked, my boss called me an idiot, and on occasion, and that's very hurtful. You can't do that now, and you have to be very cognizant of that. Listening to what your employees need, and trying to meet those needs if you can. Just trying to be a good person when you're dealing with your employees. That's really important, but also setting up some boundaries as to not let them walk all over you, which is a very fine line.
I mean, and Lisa's got it. And I think the other part of that is you're a manager and you're a boss. No, you got to go more like we both came up in high competitive sports atmospheres and we both coached at that level. And I think rather than being the manager, it's more like you're the coach and the mentor, and you need to bring them up. You're going to spend a lot of time teaching. I think that's in moving your knowledge to them. I think you have to make that the priority as opposed to we got to
You're the
hit this
boss.
deadline. It's like, yeah, you got a deadline. You keep that in the back of your mind, but what's happening? Because what's that line with sports teams, right? When you win, it's the players, and when you lose, it's the coach. So if you're not hitting your deadline, that's
It's on
you, right? So don't take it out on your staff. You got to go back and figure out
what you're doing wrong to fix
and
it.
try to coach them to bring them up to get to where you need to go. You're right. Young kids coming in, especially if you're dealing with really young people, it's a different game now than 10 years ago. It absolutely
Or
is.
20.
It's very different. And that's a whole other seminar on dealing
For
with
sure. Yeah, for sure.
good. Like we hire lots of young people too, but it's different now for sure.
Mhm, mhm.
But yeah, you got to coach, you got to teach, they hire the right personality that you like to work with and creates the right vibe. Vibe's a big word, right? You want a good vibe. If you had a good vibe, your people will work really hard for you, and then just teach them, coach them. I think that's the key.
Yeah, no, definitely. That is great advice. Question from Caroline here, kind of on the CSA side. Do you think that offering an a la carte CSA has increased your dollar sales over the traditional kind of get what you want CSA box model? And if so, what would be the metrics that you feel like have increased?
This is where I dig into whether it was Harvie or Local Line, and I get into the backwoods of the system and try to see the trends and what people are buying. And as opposed to in the CSA, it's really easy to say you have this many members, or maybe you filled this many orders. I kind of want to see that average order value each time they buy. That's what I'm looking for. And then I'm looking like how much did they buy over the entire season? Like how many times did they order? So those are two metrics that mean a lot to me. So yeah, by going the a la carte, remember, I think I said it earlier, and a lot of customers, when it was a fixed box, they're like, oh, I got my fixed box, I'm
And that's
done,
it.
check out.
$40 and they're
Now
done.
they start filling their box. Ooh, I like this. Ooh, I like this. Oh, that's new this week. I like that. Oh, they've got lemon tarts. They add that, and then all of a sudden they're $50 more. And it's like people say it's hard for me to get out of your system without spending like $100 when they used to spend 60. And that's a retail mindset. That is look at the big chains have us trained and studied and monitored information that they know 100 times more than we already know about ourselves and buying habits. If we can just dig into 10% of that for what we do and pick out the biggest wins, and that's the retail mindset of it, that you try to grab as much of that. So yeah, the empty cart has led to higher order values. Has it led to more weekly orders, like them ordering more often? I don't know on that one.
Well, I mean, for me and seeing what we sell every week, I think our goal is $100 average spend a week, and we're making that every week right now.
And we're happy with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we want to build on that. We like those. I mean, we like all customers, but we like all customers. And I've said it 100 times, 20% of your customers are going to make 80% of your sales. And that's just part of the game too. So.
Definitely. That's awesome. Okay, we have time for one more question before we wrap up here. And they're kind of two questions that are kind of related. So one from Stephen and Jolene, kind of just talking as both newer market gardens, newer CSA farms. What is that one step or that one piece of advice that you would leave them with here today? I think we've touched on a lot already, but if there's
the farm is so many things, right? Like there's so much on the farm. I don't know. I think it goes back to that. If you've committed to direct marketing, and whether it's through the platform, through your CSA, and it goes back, you got to remember you're in the people business. You've got to take care of your customers first, right? That is the number one job out of all of it. It doesn't matter how good your garden is tended and how well it looks, how much time you spend out there. If you're ignoring your customers and not answering their questions or not doing the work there to cultivate those relationships, and there's an experience side to this, guy. They're coming to us as farmers because there's an experience, because there's very few farmers. So there is an experience of dealing with a farmer. You got to look after that relationship, and you got to take care of the people.
And to scale up, don't be afraid to, and I know it's really hard because when we took the step, it was really hard, but get some employees.
Yeah.
Get some people
Yeah,
working
yeah.
for you, because you can't do it all as much as you want to and as much as you think you can. You honestly, you can't. And if you are, then please have one of these and let us know how you're doing it.
Yeah, and
Yes.
then I mean that's the other side of it too, and you got to pay yourself,
Yeah,
right? That's every business, you got to pay yourself first. You hear it every single time. It's great to say it, it's tough to do it. And even to this day, like, we have to keep kicking it. No, pay ourselves, because if we go, how do you replace it if we're not being paid,
Yeah.
right? So that is a big step. And so your customers, and then figuring out how you're going to have employees and manage that and do it all. Those are the big steps for sure.
100%. Well, Steve and Lisa, thank you both so much for your time today. This was a great session. I know I learned a lot, and I'm sure that the attendees did as well. If they want to learn more about Cooper CSA Farm, where can they find you?
www.coopersfarm.ca. We also have if they happen to have any more questions that weren't answered, we also have a contact us form on there. They're welcome to email me, and it'll be me, and I'll email them right back.
It's a social direct message on the socials. If you do
Instagram,
that,
Facebook.
don't phone us. There's a number up there. Don't call us. That's one thing
No.
we don't answer the phone, but
No.
we'll answer emails right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like to think we can do it all. You can't do it all.
No.
Email it goes right to Lisa. She'll answer it. I mean,
Of course.
yeah. And we're willing to share. I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, we got to where we were because people shared. Other farms showed the way, pointed the way. So there's no secrets in this business, guys. We're all in this together. There's lots of market to grab, so let's get her done.
Yeah, thank you so much, and I appreciate you offering that as well. I know that is a huge help, for especially those starting out. So thank you so much, Andrew. If people want to learn more about Local Line, where they can reach you, yeah, take it away.
Yeah, our website's an amazing resource. Nina does an awesome job of publishing tons of free content and resources there for folks. If people want to see a demo, you can schedule a demo there. You can also email me directly. It's ameehan@localline.ca.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to everyone. And as I mentioned, this is recorded. We'll send up a follow-up email probably by tomorrow morning. And we hope to see you at the next one. We're actually hosting a webinar a week today exactly, but at 3 p.m. instead of at noon EST with the folks from Farmers Friend. So their founder and CEO, Jonathan, will be talking about his experience finding the most profitable crop for their farm. So that's a great session as well. I'll send that in that follow-up email as well. Without further ado, thank you so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.